Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the Noon News from Montana's news leader.
Good afternoon. We're so glad you could join us today. I'm Aja Goare. In a letter read on a local radio show this morning, a Billings police officer admits he had sex with a civilian city employee on city property. Officer Paul LaMantia also announced his resignation today after admitting he had sex with a woman off duty in the Billings City Hall building. A Yellowstone County judge ruled just yesterday that the names of the 3 officers disciplined for having sex with the woman should be made public. The officers were given 48 hours to appeal the decision. LaMantia decided against the appeal, but the other 2 officers have not yet decided. LaMantia has a lengthy disciplinary history with the department, including assaulting another officer, injuring a bystander during a foot chase, and leaving a transient couple on the outskirts of town in midwinter. He declined an interview with MTN News. In other news today, First Lady Melania Trump is still in the hospital after undergoing surgery to treat a kidney problem. CBS's Mola Langi has more.
Melania Trump is recovering from surgery yesterday, and she could be coming home sooner than expected.
The expectation after a procedure like this generally is for people to do very well.
The White House originally said the First Lady would be in the hospital for a week, but this morning, President Trump tweeted, "Our great First Lady is doing really well. We'll be leaving hospital in 2 or 3 days. Thank you for so much love and support."
It's not unusual at all that the First Lady should stay in the hospital for a few days to be observed for any kind of complications or any kinds of problems.
The First Lady underwent what's called an embolization procedure to treat a benign kidney condition. That's when doctors cut the blood supply to stop a growth. The White House did not reveal any problems ahead of the surgery, but announced afterward it was a planned procedure. The First Lady was more visible last week than usual, meeting the freed Korean detainees upon their return home and launching her Be Best initiative. Mrs. Trump is the first First Lady to undergo a serious medical procedure since Nancy Reagan had a mastectomy in 1987. Mola Langi, CBS News, the White House.
President Trump was not with the First Lady during her surgery, but did speak with her doctors immediately after the procedure. Back in Montana, a man is on trial today in Helena for the murder of a woman shot to death last July. Skylar Schneider is charged in Lewis and Clark County District Court with deliberate homicide for the death of 23-year-old Catherine Spencer. Schneider called 911 to report a woman had been shot in a vehicle on 12th Avenue. Authorities arrived to find Spencer with a gunshot wound to the head. Detectives noted a bullet hole in the windshield and a bullet casing outside the car. Schneider denies his involvement. 2 fatal crashes in eastern Montana since 6 o'clock last night leave 3 people dead. The most recent crash occurred in Bighorn County around 11 p.m. Monday. 2 young girls, ages 6 and 12, died in that crash. Montana Highway Patrol tells us a 15-year-old boy was driving an SUV carrying 6 people when he drifted off the road on U.S. Highway 212 between Busby and Lame Deer. The driver lost control, struck a culvert and rolled, ejecting 3 passengers. Moments later, a second vehicle driving through the crash site ran over one of the ejected passengers. The other people involved in the crash were taken to the hospital for treatment of unknown injuries. MHP says none of the occupants in the SUV was wearing a seatbelt. Alcohol does appear to be a factor. And just hours earlier, a 28-year-old Helena man was killed in a crash near Jordan. The man was eastbound on Montana Highway 200 when his Pontiac Vibe slid off the road and overturned in a ditch. The driver was pronounced dead at the hospital. MHP reports the victim was not wearing his seatbelt. Speed is considered a factor, but there was no sign of drug or alcohol use. No one else was in the vehicle, and the man's name has not been released as the crash is still under investigation. Missoula County officials warning residents to stay vigilant about flooding as temperatures warm up. While there are no new evacuation orders, precipitation is expected to push rivers to dangerous levels again in the coming days. The Army Corps of Engineers is routing 100,000 sandbags to Missoula. Anyone who wants to be proactive can pick up the sandbags at Fort Missoula.
I hope to see you guys out there before Thursday, Friday, so that we can get you all prepped and ready. We have the sandbags. We do need more volunteer sandbagging as well, but we were turning away drivers today because we didn't have anywhere for them to go. So prep now so that we're not super busy Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
And Team Rubicon is asking affected homeowners to provide your name, phone number, and address so they can check on you. The City of Bozeman will move ahead with a plan to install more affordable housing projects in the next year. Commissioners approved a proposal last night. The plan includes the development of workforce housing, an online survey for citizen concerns, and a program for land donations to create these affordable housing projects. The city needs to complete a housing needs assessment to find out which types of homes the city should focus on when building affordable housing villages. Before we get to break, in honor of Peace Officers Memorial Day, Governor Steve Bullock has ordered all flags to be flown at half-staff in Montana today. President John F. Kennedy signed that bill into law in 1962, marking today as the time to honor officers who have died in the line of duty. Bullock's office released a statement saying Montana's peace officers are dedicated public servants who work tirelessly each and every day to serve our communities. Still ahead on the noon news, the threat of volcanic eruptions intensifies in Hawaii. We have the latest from the island. But first, Brett has our weather forecast. Stay with us.
You're watching MTN News with Aja Goare, Storm Tracker weather with Ed McIntosh, and farm and ranch news from the Northern Egg Network. This is the noon news on Q2, Montana's news leader.